All right, y'all. Welcome back to episode 29 of Harrison Talks Pod. I hope you're having a great day. We are recording this on a Monday evening in Thailand and a Monday morning in America before the game one matchups. Although we already had a game one yesterday, which I totally forgot about. Was so focused on the game seven and the game seven in the NHL. My poor St. Louis Blues, which I don't really mean that because they did not deserve to win. Great series overall, I guess, if you're a hockey fan. But, anyways, speaking of which, if you're an NBA fan, we had a great round one, besides some officiating or besides some players fighting when they're actually hugging or the bad injuries that we had, of course. What a great round one we had, which resulted in two game sevens that we're going to talk about right away before we preview the second round matchups. As we mentioned, Pacers and Cavaliers already played their first game, where the Pacers stole home court surprisingly. So let's get right into it and let's talk about the game sevens in round one. So let's talk about the game from last night. The Warriors and the Rockets, of course, Rockets playing at home, and Warriors won 103 to 89. And this game was finished, I think, 1 minute after the Blues lost in double overtime. And I promise that's the last time I mentioned that. But just it was very emotional for me, and I was doing my best to multitask and then fill in all the blanks with the NBA game after because I was a little bit invested. Last time I say it. Yes, Rockets only scored 89 points in this game seven. And unlike the other game seven that we watched, it seems like all of the worries we had about the Rockets heading into the series came forth throughout the series, but really in this game seven. They are a fantastic rebounding team, the Rockets. They are a great defensive team that has a young core and has room to grow defensively, which we will talk about. But the offensive struggles are there, the shooting struggles are there, and that's why they ended up with, I'm surprised they had 89 points to end with because it was they must have scored a bit in these last couple of minutes because it was looking pretty rough heading into the fourth quarter. Rockets shot 31% from three, 40% from the field. They did out rebound Golden State 52 to 38, but they just could not capitalize all evening. Foul trouble got them into their big lineups maybe more than they wanted to. Very physical game, of course, overall. And I guess I'll just add here that I think if you're a Rockets fan, you have to be happy about what they did in this series. Not right now, because they did blow this 2-1 lead they had, but just consider where you were last season to this season, and you were the two seed, and we're going to talk about how they can make this all better. It was the Buddy Hield game, and looking ahead to next round, I think the Warriors need to have nights like this. Don't know if we're going to have a Buddy Hield game like this again, but he had 33 points, 12 of 15 from the field, 9 of 11 from three, which ties a game seven record. Is that for the first round or the playoffs? I think it's for the playoffs. Said that he felt locked in after the game, had 0 points, 0 for 4 in game six, had 4 points in game five. And the narrative around Buddy Hield this season has remained consistently inconsistent. So hopefully they can capitalize on role players because the depth of the Timberwolves is going to be deeper than the depth of Golden State, which is where the Lakers ran into problems in the first round. Steph Curry did a little bit of everything this series, ended this game with 22 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Draymond Green, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, including 2 threes. Was fantastic this round. Just vintage chaos, let's call it. Jimmy Butler, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, had a great game there, and apparently had a emotional team-only meeting for this game. Looking at the Rockets, Amin Thompson had 24 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Jalen Green had 8 points in game 7. Had one game where he scored 38 points, but only had 93 points in this entire series. So I think it's pretty clear who the best player on the Rockets is now. And I want to be a supporter of Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green can be can be a starting player on a competitive playoff team, but I don't know if he is the second option. I don't know if he is the third option, but he's definitely a piece we're looking at. By we, I mean the Rockets are looking at this offseason when they're trying to make this team better. And with the emergence of Amin Thompson, Tari Eason, Albert Changun, it's hard to say if he fits in this lineup. The same as he did in past seasons. So we will see there. Were they overachievers this season? Perhaps. So, like I said, I think Rockets fans should be very happy with this season. I saw a lot of, I'm assuming, Houston sports fans making the 2015 Astros comparison where they're a little bit ahead of schedule. They're young. They're not quite ready just yet. I'll just leave it at that because I'm not going to talk anything more about the Astros. That's all. So looking in the next season, they have 6 player options and they are on the books for 190 million, which is right at the second apron. So those player options do include Fred Van Vliet, which has a $44 million team option, excuse me. And other players also include Jabari Smith, Amin Thompson. That's easy. Tari Eason, that's easy. And then Cam Whitmore and Aaron Holiday. So no matter what, this team is going to look similar heading into this offseason. And how do you make this team better? We assume, I'm sure they'd pick up Van Vliet on their team option of 44 million, almost. And Steven Adams is on a $12.6 million contract expiring. Jalen Green and Goon also get their extensions kick in the 25-26 season. Chingun making 34 million, Jalen Green making slightly less at about 33.3. So you keep Shingu for sure. But can you package Jalen Green with something to get a veteran superstar? There's 2 names that, if you're listening to this podcast and you listen to other podcasts, you've probably have already heard it. Kevin Durant, age 36, but he is Kevin Durant. And then, of course, the big one is Giannis. And I think the Bucks need to do something. So the Bucks need to look at who has the most assets, who has the most draft picks to offer for Giannis. And that would be the big one, I think, to go for. And just imagine what that defense could look like if they were able to keep Shingun and Tari Eason and add Giannis and have him in Thompson, all those other role players that they have. That is super, super exciting. Giannis would fit in anywhere. I hope that he would Houston, I guess. So I think let's leave it there. I think that the Rockets could build slow and build gradually, but not surprised if they try to make a big trade this offseason. All right, so we talked about the game seven that to me and I think a lot of others was not surprising with the results. And that I mean how the Rockets lost. Not that the Rockets lost, just how they lost. The other game seven was a Clippers and Nuggets, and I wish this was a 9, 11, 13 game series. I did not want this series to end at all. And I guess it's not surprising since Nuggets played at home that they played this well and they won 120 to 101. Was close heading into the second half, and turnovers and fouls led to a 17-0 run by the Nuggets in the third quarter. And if you're part of Clipper Nation, which is no one in my immediate circle, but if you are in Clipper Nation and you're long term, this has to be just getting old. The amount of breakdowns that this version of the Clippers have had, and before that as well, it has to just get old after a while, especially after having a 2-1 series lead. Ty Lue started Derek Jones Jr. this game, which made sense going up against Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. Clippers shot 8 for 27 from three this game, 30%. Michael Porter Jr. game with 15 points, and Christian Braun had a great game. So, looking ahead to next round, which we will preview after this, looking for Clippers role players being in double digits and being solid offensive role players around Jokic. I have to say that the Clippers, even though they might have underperformed defensively from what they might have expected, I'm very impressed by how well they were able to contain Jokic. And I know if we look at Jokic's numbers, it's not that bad. But I mean, compare it to what Jokic can put up on any night against any team. The collapsing seemed to work at times. So throwing as many looks at that guy as you can. But oh my God, some incredible, incredible ISO plays by Jokic and some incredible defensive plays by Jokic in this series as well. Nuggets were more consistent. Clippers lacked the offensive consistency. Kawhi, 37 games this season, disrupted their core. It's kind of unclear the identity of this Clippers team. It was exciting. Their defense looked great. I I was really thinking that the Clippers were the best team left in the West going into this game seven, and I just makes me think that I know nothing or that the home field in Denver is that impactful. So, yeah. Anyways, just what a awesome, awesome first round series we had from these two teams. So, what do the Clippers do? What do they do after this experiment? I can't believe that we're already 5 years into this Kawhi Leonard kind of experiment. Kawhi Leonard is owed 50 million next year, 50.3 the year after. James Harden has a $36 million player option for next season. The only team option they have is Kobe Brown. Nick Batum has a player option for 4.9 next season. They are at 172 overall. So, do they need to focus on a big move this season? Yes. Yes, they do. It needs to address just some of these core issues, and I really don't know what that is. Is it getting rid of James Harden and trying to find a core of players that can just stay on the court and play good defense and shoot the ball? I don't have an answer for that. But I think the answer is going to be, of course, that you retain Kawhi Leonard and then you trade James Harden just with the year left in his player option. 35 years old, and who else do you package with him? I just don't know. But expect them to make some moves, and perhaps they do target a superstar to put next to Kawhi Leonard. It's just an aging team. It's a team that signed Ben Simmons, this year, and it's a team that had a lot of promise. Had perhaps the most promise in the last in Kawhi Leonard era. It's just very, very another breakdown happening in the first round. No series wins in the year that they had the inaugural Intuit Dome season. I think Ty Lue comes back, of course. Ty Lue is excels at the adjustments, but perhaps does not have the correct lineup that he needs. So I'm expecting adjustments from this team this year. I just don't know what that is. And Clippers, it was fun. It's always kind of a struggle to watch this team with the inconsistency, but second half of the season was fun, and not surprised that the Nuggets blew out Game 7 and are heading on to take on the Thunder, who, as of today, are on a 9-day rest. And let's preview round two. But as I say that, we did have a round two game last night. The Pacers defeated the Cavaliers 121 to 112. Out Darius Garland on the Cavaliers, and the Pacers steal the home court advantage from the Cavaliers, who had their historical season, of course. So, can the Pacers go up 2-0 heading back home? If you've been listening, you know what my hopes are, but I hope so. But anyways, I hope for a competitive series. I think it will be a competitive series. In this game, Tyrese Halliburton had 22 points, 13 assists. Andrew Nimhard had 23 points off the bench. Miles Turner double with 13 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Benedict Mathurin hit 11 points, and hit a clutch three when the Cavs had biggest lead of the second half. Pacers shooting was outstanding. They shot 19 of 36 from three, 14 from 15 from the line, and Cavaliers shot 23% from three, 9 of 38. Pacers had 30 assists and outperformed Cavs in most offensive areas. Besides points in the paint, Pacers allowed 70 points in the paint, but was able to hold it together defensively overall enough to secure this win and just capitalize when the Cavs had defensive lapses and exploited those mismatches when they could. Looking for Jared Allen to switch off to perimeter players as much as possible. So, efficiency took over game one. Yes, great shooting, great passing, great ball movement, great assist turnover ratio. But Pacers do need to cut down on their mistakes. 30 assists in game one. I'm happy with that, though. Cavaliers will look to make adjustments. Darius Garland with his toe injury is day to day, so we might see him for game two. And I know the pressure is much more there's much more pressure for game two, given that they lost game one. Pacers need to limit their turnovers. They need to try to prevent their second chance points with the Cavs and just focus on defensive consistency overall. Cavaliers are still the better team, and I would still take the Cavaliers to win this series, but I'm hoping that I'm going to call them my Pacers. I hope the Pacers can make this a very competitive series. Give me 6 or 7 games, but also, I would not be that surprised, especially if the Pacers can win game 2 away, if the Pacers surprise a lot of people and head on off to the conference finals. I do think they've been a top 8 or 10 team the second half of this season, or post All-Star break, that is. So, uh, no prediction from me. I just hoping it's competitive, and I would not be surprised if either team pulls it off. Next up, tonight, the first game one we have are the Knicks at the Celtics, the classic Eastern Conference matchup. If we put a lot of focus on the regular season, we might think that this is a short series, but let's talk about how the Knicks could make this competitive overall. In the regular season, the Celtics swept the Knicks 4-0. Boston won 3 of the games by double digits and was a plus 118 points in those 3 games. So clear sign of dominance there. Celtics led in almost every offensive category in these 4 matchups, including just shooting and offensive efficiency. Knicks overall struggled in their 3-point shooting with against Boston, anywhere between 29% to 38% in those 4 matchups. Knicks struggled to contain the Celtics pick and rolls. Celtics just being a long, strategic, sometimes just slower paced, very methodical team overall. So the length and depth of the Celtics will be the main struggle for the Knicks heading into this series. Excuse me. The combination of Tatum and Brown is going to be very tricky. Bridges and Anunoby will do their best job with containing them. In the 4 matchups, Knicks average over 15 turnovers per game. So look for them to try and limit those mistakes, and got out rebounded in almost every matchup in 3 of the 4 matchups against them. Brunson against Boston has averaged 26.8 points in those 4 games. Karl-Anthony Towns has been more inconsistent, so I think if there is a key to the Knicks being successful in this series, then Karl-Anthony Towns has to have a great series alongside Jalen Brunson. Josh Hart, we know about his defense, but the problem, of course, is going to be offense. Against the Celtics, he was 11% from 3 in the 4 matchups. And look for Porzingis to have a huge series. Look for Luke Cornett to step up and have a big series against the Knicks. Porzingis against the Knicks this season averaged 24.5 points. And if the Celtics can dictate their offense, dictate their defense the right way, I think this will be a short series. But regular season isn't always a good indicator of how the postseason is, but I do think the Celtics have been the best team in the NBA down the stretch. Expect them to let players like Achua and Hart shoot the ball. Expect them to throw a lot of looks at Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. The Knicks need Bridges and Anunoby to step up offensively and defensively. If they want to make this series competitive, they need to control the glass. They need to try to cut down on the turnovers, which affected their losses in the regular season, and just keep Karl Anthony Towns engaged. Keep him a two-way threat. And I think I'm not predicting a sweep. I think Boston's going to win based on everything I said. But I think the Knicks can pull it off and make it competitive if they focus on adjustments and how they dictate their offense. So let's see how it goes, and super pumped to see the second round matchup. Next series, and tonight we finally get to watch the Thunder. I wonder if they went on vacation. It's been 9 days. They could have gone to Cancun and came back again and rested, trained, and still was ready for this second round matchup against Nuggets. So, the theme of this segment is the Thunder youth and rest, 9 days, and the Nuggets experience and fatigue, 2 days rest, and a lot more veterans. So, I think this is the second round matchup that I'm looking forward to the most. It might just be the Nuggets from here on out. But I think this is going to be the most competitive, but I am worried about the overall fatigue because I think Thunder, home court advantage, 9 days rest. They have the advantage early, and they have the advantage if this goes 6 or 7 games. No game 7 in Denver this time around. So, uh, advantage to Thunder, but I do think this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series, and I hope the Nuggets can just keep it all together. 2 days rest, traveling. I hope game 1 delivers. So, let's talk about 5 X factors that could make the series go one way or the other. If Jamal Murray is consistent, then we know the two-man game of Jokic and Murray is better than anything that we will see in any playoff series. So, if Jamal Murray has a playoff series that we know he's capable of having, then Nuggets can win this series and can for sure make it competitive. The Thunder. Thunder's defensive versatility is the next X factor, and most likely the biggest X factor. If they can be versatile defensively, like we saw in the first round, like we saw throughout the season, then most likely this series is going to go to the Thunder. Lou Dort most likely will be guarding Jamal Murray, so look for that matchup. And OKC has the ability to go big, go small, and they can rotate on all of the Denver players and try to contain Jokic as much as possible because no one stops Jokic. Number 3, I'm calling 3-point shooting volatility. I don't know why I use that word, volatility. The Thunder are one of the deepest teams in the NBA, despite being one of the youngest teams in the NBA. But they need, alongside SGA, 2 or 3 players to step up offensively every night to make sure they can close out these games. They definitely have it. So whether it is J-Dub, whether it's Chet, or whether it's one of the role players they have coming off the bench, they need their shooters around SGA to step up, and it can be a short series if that happens. Denver shooters, I don't know if they are better, but they have more playoff experience. And for Denver, it's the same in the first round. Michael Porter Jr. needs to have a great series offensively. Expect players like Christian Braun to continue stepping up and have a great series overall. And in the end, you have the best player on the floor, despite SGA most likely winning the MVP. Leave it at that. Number four, depth versus star power, the overall theme of this segment, along with rest. So Denver, battle tested, has their star player in Jokic. OKC might have the deepest team in the league, in my opinion, second deepest. But can their depth last for a 7 game series against this team? We'll see. But it's going to be much more competitive than their first round matchup. And then number five, as we said, fatigue management. See, young, lots of rests, and they're going to have the advantage either way. They have the advantage tomorrow, playing at home, tons of rest. If this series goes long, they are still the younger team that did not have to go 7 games in their last series. So I expect this series to be long. Absolutely. In the regular season, they split 2-2. OKC won in October and March. Denver won November and in March also in the middle. There were blowouts and there were tight games in both. Another storyline for this series is that MVP will most likely be announced during this series, and it is very much a two-man matchup for MVP. So my prediction, SGA, because of the voter fatigue, but the right choice, I think, is Jokic, although SGA did have a very historic offensive year and a better team overall. So give it to SGA and can't believe it. Especially with the Clippers losing in round one. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that, okay? OKC has the series advantage, and it is their series to lose. And with the Warriors winning last night, they will play the Timberwolves starting on Tuesday. So they will also have a 2 day rest. So another veteran team with little rest taking on a younger team. Does have veteran players, a younger team with more rest. Not quite 9 days, but still more rest there. And if we're looking at regular season, I think this is going to be a very, very competitive series. If it's not the Thunder Nuggets that's the most competitive, I think it's going to be this series. Warriors won the regular season series 3-1, and they won the last three matchups against them, but they haven't played since January. So it's been quite a while, and the Timberwolves, I think, have just looked better as the season has gone on. At the same time, the Warriors got better because they made a trade. They got Jimmy Butler. So this is going to be a very exciting matchup with some very interesting storylines as well. Golden State, their 3-point shooting is going to be a major factor. I don't know if I can say anything that's more obvious, but for context, they were plus 17 in 3 points made in their last three matchups and the last three wins. The key for Minnesota has to be to control and dictate the tempo and dominate the boards, limit their turnovers, and try to play their bigs. Try to dominate them in the paint, and I think they can make this a competitive series. And I think the Timberwolves can win this series because I do think their depth overall is going to push them ahead and does make the Timberwolves a better team. I was wrong on the Timberwolves Lakers series. I was extremely wrong. Thought the Lakers had enough star power to make up for not having a center or not having the right depth. The Warriors a better matchup for the Timberwolves, but I'm going to be a little bit more hesitant this time because I do think Timberwolves are better. Anthony Edwards is just ready to destroy more old superstars. So I would, if I were to predict, which I'm not, if I were to predict, I think Timberwolves have this advantage in a 6 or 7 game series. The Warriors, of course, have their star power. They have Steph Curry. They have that X factor. They have the inevitable Steph Curry. The Rudy Gobert and Draymond Green matchup is going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of tensions there, but hey, when it's Draymond Green, there's going to be tensions with, I think, the majority of teams. Jimmy Butler returns to Target Center, returns to his old team, so perhaps we could get a playoff Jimmy revenge series there. And look for Steph Curry's greatness and leadership because he will have his games and he will uh, change a couple of these games, I predict, as he always does. So look for other key players in the Warriors to step up as well. And I think we do get those random Buddy Hield games, or we'll get a random Pajinski game, or whatever it might be. But it's going to be needed against this Timberwolves team, the role players to step up. And I think that's about all I want to say on this one. They start on Tuesday. So that's it for me. I hope you guys have a great week. I'll be back next week, which I'm really excited about. We'll most likely know MVP, and we will either have series that are over or we'll be in game 6 around there for the series that are still around. So we will know a lot in a week's time. Again, hope you're well. Subscribe. Please share the podcast with another NBA fan if you enjoy it. That goes a long way. We're small, but we're growing organically, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you, and have a great day.